Hello, Sounders. Hope you're all enjoying a lovely summer and you're not too shocked by the rising seat prices at Fratton Park, which I feel are pretty inevitable given the ambition of our club and us fans. There's loads of news, of course, some fake, most true, arriving daily about this great club of ours. I'll try and catch up with some of it, starting with the best news I can think of. Pompey had the highest average attendance this season for 57 years. 57 years, Sounders. The days of Owen Hand, Mike Trebilco, Ray Hiron and Harry Harris. Glorious days in Division 2. Like now. Now, you won't remember them, most of you, but I do. Days of great fun and no little danger following Pompey. Nicky Jennings going down the left wing, Albie McCann's bow legs, George Lay, a goal-scoring left-back, if ever there was one. Finished 5th in the league, scoring 68 goals that season. It was a good season. Just as our just finished first season back in the Championship was a good season. In that, simply, we survived it. Every football fan is aware these days that the dividing quality of football grows between divisions as you climb the football ladder. And the Championship is generally recognised as the 5th in quality in the whole of Europe. So Pompey now have a foothold at that level and the chance to establish themselves among, well, what would it be, the top 100 clubs in the continent. We do need more quality, improvement in our current players and identifying and attracting others who will further lift us. And all that means being tough on existing playing staff. They narrowly avoided relegation. They're not collectively good enough to take us to our high level. That's obvious. But changes still feel harsh. Personally, I was quite surprised to see Cassini Yengi given a free transfer. Not because he wasn't very ordinary when he came on this season. And certainly not because I wasn't fed up with his anxiety to travel across the world to play for his country and get injured. But only really because I thought he might be worth money to Pompey. He was a clever buy. That's what it looked like. He had natural assets. And he's a big show-off. And I thought after that wonderful cameo when he ruined the career of the Bolton centre-half, Ricardo Santos, it was, who was and continued to be, really, to be honest with you, highly regarded at his level, Portuguese defender. I think he's now actually reached the end of the line at Bolton, but he was literally, but also metaphorically, he was a substantial defender, and I will never forget Cassini Yengi giving him such an uncomfortable time. And I thought he might go on to terrorise a lot of other big, ugly defenders in the Championship, but it wasn't to be. It'll be interesting to follow Yengi's career, but it won't be with us. Fair enough. Also, fair enough, Dazelle and Swanson could be our future and have been retained. Zach Swanson has a battle with Devlin and Jordan Williams to be first choice right back. It's not obvious. But he could end up being the more talented of those three. Dazelle, too, he's not certain. He's certainly going to face incoming competition next season, so he's not certain of his place, but I like him. And we'll talk about that incoming competition later. It seems like Paddy Lane, Christian Sadie, and in a different sort of way Matt Ritchie have all been warned that it's going to get tougher to get a place in the Sun and the side next season. And that's really the whole point of the summer window, isn't it? It must be the aim to increase the competition. And if the two younger ones, Lane and Sadie, choose to move on, well, it just might be better for them and the club. They each have their fans, their constituency, quite rightly. Sadie's power and passion is heartwarming, but not quite enough. And the little we've seen of Lane in between injury has not reassured me that he can establish in the Championship. Simply not enough pace or trickery. That's what I feel, but that's me being mean sound, as I know. But contrast Lane with Matt Ritchie, on the other hand, who will see out his second contracted year, and although goodness knows what we're paying him, a substantial amount I imagine, but his energy, enthusiasm, and of course experience surely make him worth it. Worth having him to come off the bench, to turn a game and help shore up a point or three. It was obvious Rich Hughes was going to make changes even before the whole game when he said, and I quote, "We will never shrink away from making decisions unpopular to fans." That meant we were going to say goodbye to a few of our playing staff. Of that, there was no doubt, and there hasn't been. You have to admit there hasn't been a whisper of disapproval about the disclosures made so far. When you get promoted, you have to give the players who got you up a chance. And the other thing is, as management, you don't appreciate, for all your experience in the game, what you're going into. In this case, the physicality, the athleticism, the sheer pace of the Championship. You think you've mastered playing out from the back, but the press back on that, a league up, is tougher, quicker. Some players from Division 1 inevitably can't hack it. Hence, now that's been proved, a few more of those that brought us up will join Norris and Rags and Joe Rafferty outside the Pompey bubble. But let's look for a moment at last season's loans. They kept us up, so they were successful. In particular, Rob Atkinson. Now, it is obvious Pompey will do their level best to sign him this summer as our player. Perhaps less so Freddie Potts. Not even the levelest of level bests will get him back with us, whatever level bests means. I can't actually think why I'm saying that word, but anyway, that expression. But anyway, it's unlikely that we're going to get Freddie Potts back to Fratton. There is a real possibility that Rob Atkinson might end up with us. It would be great. Cohen Bramall, he was worthy of a contract, but we have two good left backs. Sammy Silvera couldn't succeed in Division 1 after he left us for Blackpool. And then there was international Milosovic, ghosting through the corridors of Fratton Park like some heavyweight mirage, never to be remembered or forgotten. Isaac Hayden played his lone role as the true professional footballer he is. And the other loanees, Adil Oshish, whom I quite liked, but may well have finished his adventures abroad in UK football, you feel. And Mark Omani, who returns to Brighton, but with the mass of young talent up there, you wonder where he'll go next. Ben Kiliper, was he alone? I'm not sure. I can't actually remember that. I'm sorry, Sounders, but he's with us again as second or third keeper for some reason, and back up to Liverpool goes Cade Gordon, whom I'd slightly unfairly say didn't look as promising as our own young ex-Liverpool winger in Harvey Blair. And I'm happy John Mousinho's kept the faith in Blair. And also the almost forgotten, except by me, Abdoulaye Kamara, who's had an awful first year living in the best town in Hampshire, and we can only hope he starts to demonstrate the talent that Pompey recruitment saw in him this time last year. Things can only get better for him, surely, hopefully. All of which now brings me on to some fake news. Everything so far has been pretty factual, but now we get on to the fakery. I do love it because it's fun, but I hate it because it's mostly untrue and it is easy to take it seriously. So the dodgy names are, and when I say dodgy, I don't mean the lads themselves are dodgy, of course. Of course they're not. They're nice young Herberts. But their association with Pompey is dodgy. A trio of young talent, huge talent, of the sort we aspire to, but I don't think they're heading our way. Nectar Trientes is 21. He's a defensive midfielder. He's Sunderland's player, and he's been on loan at Hibernian, where he's had a fine season, scoring 3 goals, making 6 assists in 31 appearances, and played for a team that finished third in Scotland, and earned him, Nectar Trientes, earned him the Scottish Football Writers Player of the Year award. He's obviously talented. But signed to Sunderland until 2027, on loan at a club with European Cup football coming next season. And I've heard not the smallest, tiniest, feeblest rumour to suggest we're in for him. And the next is a striker named Abdoulaye Mana, aged 20, born in the Gambia, and already on an international player for the Gambia. He's been signed by MILOSOVIC in Sweden and played 27 games for a 7-goal return up there. Sounders, there is not a cat's fart of a whisper about this undoubtedly talented young man around Fratton Park. I doubt he'll be coming to us. We can dream. Thirdly, and here we arrive at, I have to acknowledge that this is a more plausible story, Sounders. There's a lad called Hindolo Mustafa who plays for Crystal Palace, a club we talk to about young talent. That's a fact, and who is scoring great goals for their development sides, which can be watched often on social media. Some incredible goals he scored. A goal-scoring midfielder of power and talent, and most importantly of all, and where the connection with us comes from, a player John Mousinho has taken the turn to see this spring more than once, along with Brad Wall and other of our recruitment team. He is a lone possibility. I think that's pretty certain. But we've been in this position before with Crystal Palace, and it hasn't worked out. And there are so many understandable reasons for that. Indeed, last summer we had a great interest in Dan Raymond. Do you remember him, Sounders? I remember talking about him. He had similar glowing reviews, but didn't arrive finally. And the last I heard, he was playing for Queen's Park in Scotland, not a top side up there. The simple truth is there are no guarantees to be had with young talent, but the speculation is fun, I don't deny it, and there's going to be plenty of it. Finally, on the topic of future players, I encourage you to seek out Hancock analysis, the product of a young man who displays his ideas on X, but I'm sure on lots of other platforms which I don't know about. He's a very clever, clued up football scientist, indeed a Bachelor of Science, with a huge knowledge of the football talent tracking model, who's produced his own recruitment document for Pompey, which I might quote some of it from next time I talk to you. But this is a very talented young man. And very finally, Sounders, from the young to the old, I want to add my congratulations and good wishes to Alan Knight. I've known Knightsy since he was a 16-year-old apprentice at Pompey, whose first game I saw at Rotherham. There won't be many of you who did that with me. I can't remember many blue and white up there. I'd love to meet someone who was. I can't even remember the year. I remember him, though, Knightsy, with his dad. His dad was always with him at every game in those early years, driving many, many miles, as dads have to do. And now, Alan Knight has, with others, made many thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for prostate cancer research, helped by Tony Male and, of course, lots of other good friends of Knightsy. With that football match, that fantastic football match, where they got such a good crowd immediately after the whole game, and our big-hearted manager turned out, along with a galaxy of old Pompey faces from the past. It must have been a great occasion. I wish I'd been there. Knightsy's a great man, and I'm proud to call him a friend. And now he's been honoured and been made, what is it, Lord Mayor or Chief High Executioner, some such title. Actually, I can't remember, but he's been given some freedom of the city. I actually really should know and didn't write it down, but he's been given some fine accolade by the Portsmouth City Council. Good for them. Good luck, Knightsy. Hang in with us. Take care, Sounders. Play up, Pompey.